All right, great to have you with us tonight. Warm week, and it's going to get warmer again yet, so be ready for all the heat. Had a great time meeting with the Christian Ed Committee. Was that last night? Yep, just last night, and working on some upcoming plans. Got a lot of upcoming things coming on. The staycation type weekend is August the 8th and 9th. That's the same date that was in the annual calendar, but just to update you on that one. As a reminder, we're going to be, at least for part of the time, down at South Park. We'll probably also have some stuff here at the church, but we'll get all of those details out real soon. Camp things over at Chautauqua are going well. Be praying for that. One update I didn't make on the prayer sheet. The Pintos I still have preparing for furlough on there. They are on furlough now, so be praying for traveling safeties. They are using the van from up at Berean and Brooklyn Park, and we're there on Sunday. They are housing, I think, down in northern Indiana someplace. I'm not exactly sure. They will be with us, I want to say October, but I don't remember all of the other dates other than I know they're back. So be praying for them in that updated way. Other things, continue to be praying for Doris Cooper, done with the first set of heart work and now awaiting the valve replacement stuff coming up. And I want to say July 28th, but I don't remember for certain. We'll double check those dates. Wayne and Rita continue to pray for. Tony continue to pray for. Emily continue to pray for. And Molly, with all of those dealing with recovery issues. Sharon was updated, I think, just today, maybe yesterday, but that she will need more stuff done on her back than what she was hoping. She was hoping maybe a shot might be all that was needed or something, but she likely will need to have some vertebrae fused together. They're doing a bone density and a MRI on the back coming up. So be praying for that. Julie Richter's doing much better with things, but she has some heart tests coming up latter part of August. I don't remember the exact date on that one yet either. Continue to be praying for our national things, all the different difficulties still with Iran, and so many different things going on there. The Church of the Week is nearby here, Calvary Baptist up in Rochester. Greg Glenscott is the pastor there. You see all of their needs listed, and continue to pray for the things there at the bottom, the updates. Nate Pearson is awaiting a well replacement. Now, I don't remember, was it 2 weeks from last week? So he's a week out, or is it still 2 weeks out, or do you know for certain? Okay, so either a full week to 2 weeks type of window now. And I have no idea where Gene. I had him on there just for general prayer needs, but I was sure I had updated it, but maybe it was just in the email and not in the prayer list there. But he did make it into the care facility. Okay, good. Praise the Lord for that, and pray for his wife Jan and running back and forth, and his daughter was out of town as all of this came up, but she's back now. Okay. Good. Good. So be praying for all of that, and pray that all that will be needed is that short stint of care. Also, the banks are, I'm pretty sure it's next Monday, Sunday afternoon, or next Monday or sometime that they're heading down to Kentucky So be praying for that. And I think the week after that, Tim and Kinsey will be down in Kentucky. And then the week after that, the Andersons will be moving and soon after closing on their house. So lots of things to still be praying for in the way of summer scheduling difficulties, but do be praying for those. Yes, ma'am. Pretty sure they're not walking. Other than that, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know if it is all work and pleasure. I don't know exactly. I haven't had time to visit, but I know it is connected with work, but I'm not sure how much of it is work related. The business is starting a plant down in that area, down in the Louisville area. Nope, 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 not Louisville at all. Cincinnati area, across the river there in Kentucky from Cincinnati. So, okay, Janelle will ask you, how do you say the capital of Ohio? Cincinnati or Cincinnati? Columbus. Okay, I have too much. Yes. I didn't ask her. She was obedient. Okay, we have too much fun here. Um, okay. Okay, they've been running the pass around through the house stuff again. And Tim is, of course, working and dealing with seminary stuff, so he wouldn't be real happy about being down either, but be praying for the Scarin clan. Uh, Josiah was just getting over something, and now Danny seems to have the same thing, and Timmy might be not far behind. So be praying for all of them. Anything else? All right. Flip your sheets over if you would then. Acts chapter 27, continuing on the trip to Rome. I just got to thinking, I get so confused with things that I need this map to help me out. Hopefully, it helps you out a little bit. Of course, starting out down in Caesarea there, then last week up here, and now we'll be getting. Oh no, were they already in Myra last week? Yeah, they had gotten up to Myra last week, so they had made it that far. Actually, a pretty good amount of the distance overall. Not close to there, but a pretty good amount of the distance. But now, what you notice is they're heading out more towards open water there, which creates some issues. So let's take a look at Acts chapter 27, verses 6 through 12, where it says, I'm sorry, let's back up to verse 5, where it says, And when they had sailed over the Sea of Cilicia to Pamphylia, we came to Myra, a city of Lycia, and there the centurion found a ship of Alexandria sailing into Italy, and he put us therein. And when we had sailed slowly many days, and scarce were come over against Cnidus, the wind not suffering, we sailed under Crete over against Salmon, and hardly passing it, came into a place which is called the Fair Havens, nigh unto where was the city of Lasea. And when much time was spent, and when sailing was now dangerous, because the fast was now already past, Paul admonished them and said unto them, Sirs, I perceive that this voyage will be with hurt and with much damage, not only of the lading of the ship, but also of our lives. Nevertheless, the centurion believed the master and the owner of the ship more than those which were spoken by Paul. And because the haven was not commodious to winter in, the more part advised to depart thence also, if by any means they might attain to Phoenicia, and there to winter, which is a haven of Crete and lieth toward the south, west, and northwest. So as they were going here, as they got into Myra, which is where we were at before they left there, the centurion started searching for a ship going to Rome. Weren't they already on a ship? It wasn't quite like modern day travel. You weren't able to book your ticket on a direct cruise from Caesarea to Rome or really any place else. So you kind of went as you could. So there was a little bit of a problem with that. There was also problems with the wind. So as they were there in Myra, where was it that ship was from? The one they're getting on was from Egypt, but this ship that they had been on, we were talking about its home port last week. It's a mouthful. Adram Idiom. So they weren't able to stay on that ship, so they were needing to switch ships, finding one to go that way. The ship that they found was from Egypt then. And don't let your mind wander too far with this one. Don't spend the whole rest of the evening thinking about this and not paying any attention to what's going on in the study. But picture what travel was like back then. What do you do now if I wanted to travel down to Rome? How would I be able to figure out to get to Rome? What would I do? From me standing here today, what would I do if I wanted to travel to Rome? Go online, check with Delta, check with Expedia, check with a gazillion different websites. Whichever one I wanted to do, I could get a ticket to Rome. I couldn't pay for the ticket to Rome, but I could get a ticket to Rome in about 2 minutes' time. And probably any number of modes of transportation to be able to get there. And any time that I wanted to get there, it wasn't quite that way then. There was no internet. And before the internet, what did we want to do when we traveled? You called who? Yeah. Well, you had multiple options to call even at that. Yeah, you could call Delta Airlines direct. You could call a travel agent. All sorts of things to do. But I suppose travel agents probably still exist to a point. But it's a pretty dying industry, I gotta believe. I don't know, maybe all the travel agents will be calling me up saying, no, it's thriving. But, some people will still book through an agency to try to find their best cruise package or whatever. But times have changed in travel. And back here at this time, it was really awkward. But they found a vessel that was heading to Rome from Egypt. It was likely already carrying grain, but some people were able to get on board with it. But it took some finagling to do. And then as they started out, almost immediately they encountered a strong wind impeding their travel. Not an easy thing. It says that they sailed slowly for many days and scarce coming over against Cnidus, which is further up north here, just basically as they would get ready to cut across. And by the way, the simplest way to go across from Sinitas would be to go right over underneath Achaia. But they couldn't do that as easily because of all of the winds. So they chose to go down around the corner of Crete there. But back to your blanks on the paper, it says they were finally able to reach Cnidus, Cnidus. And what other passage of scripture is that city famous for? My wife can't answer this one because she talked to me about it today as I was trying to pronounce it. It's the only time it's mentioned in scripture. So there's no other passage with it, but it was a fairly famous port city. Then they could have sailed directly west to the Achaean Peninsula of Greece, or they could turn, as we said, and go south there by Crete and sail under the island, using it as a buffer to the strong wind. Where they were at, Cnidus was actually a pretty good place to have stayed if they would have stayed there. It had 2 harbors. So because of that, it was such a large harbor area for a smaller town. They were especially well equipped for indefinite harboring, for harboring people during the winter time. And that comes into play with the conversation. Also, the other name that comes into play, obviously, is Fair Havens down here by Lycia. That's that small dot there, right underneath the sea on the island of Crete. Fairhaven was aptly named because it was kind of the last safety zone. Just 6 miles to the west of there, the coastline juts up to the north, and from there on, there wasn't near as much protection during the winter and the winter winds. So really, either of those 2 places, they would have been better off staying. But as we see, there was a problem with the winds. And then in verse 9, it seems a little bit unusual that it says, when sailing was now dangerous because the fast was now already past. What in the world is that talking about? It wasn't good sailing because the fast was already past. Probably. Definitely in October. I'm not sure the exact day of October. But what are they talking about on the fast there? Holidays were such an important part of the calendar and of life. And the fast that they're talking about is the Day of Atonement there. So that's your next blank down there. That comes into play in verse 9. The fast is the Day of Atonement, would have been in early October. And from September 14th, and I'm not sure where that date came from, until November 11th, was the times that the Mediterranean became increasingly dangerous to travel. The winds would typically be worse. The weather was not good. Anybody know what dumb song came to my mind when I'm thinking about this? The wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Yeah, and that was the whole problem in Lake Superior. And Lake Superior is a whole lot smaller than this area. And they said that, what is it, when the winds of November come early or whatever? We're not going to sing the whole song, don't worry. Not all 14 verses of it. And the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald was in, 1975? I think they just celebrated the 50th anniversary of it. Here we're talking about a little over 1900 years earlier. So you could imagine how much more precarious travel would be, and particularly on that much bigger of a body of water than the Mediterranean. But most people knew you want to get it done by Definitely before November 11th, but really by middle of September to really be safe. We know that they were already in late November at the earliest here. So the Mediterranean was becoming that much more dangerous. And after November 11th, there was virtually no ships out on the sea until February. Virtually all shipping ceased until February there. So, as they were dealing with this, um, they're in Lycia, right? Hold on here. Let me look back, make sure I'm saying things right. Okay. Yes. So they were there at the Fair Havens in Lycia and having discussion. I find it interesting that, remember, Paul was going there as a prisoner, but he had a part in the discussion. Was it solicited or not? Were they asking for his advice, or he just gave him the advice? Also, the other thing that we aren't totally sure of is, was Paul speaking from a gut feeling, or was he speaking from extra information from God, advising them not to go? But the other people involved were the centurion. Oh, that's your last blank down there. The conference on this decision included Paul, the centurion, the pilot or the captain of the ship, and the owner of the ship. And guess what? Paul was outnumbered. It would have been probably much wiser to have stayed back up at this port here where they had the twin ports of Cnidus. Secondly, would have been to stay there at the Fair Havens, but they pushed onward in spite of warnings. And guess what? We kind of know that they had some more problems because of that. Also, it's important to know that God was still in control of this. As we see coming up with the storm and the shipwreck, God's still in control of all of those things. And even when problems come up, when things don't go our way, decisions we don't think are being made properly, guess what? God still can work through all of those things. So that was the case here. We'll get into the storm next week, but I just thought that those shipping maps were very helpful and informative in helping me at least pick out a little bit of it. Questions or comments? Nowhere. It's the only time it's mentioned. I did. One of those trick kind of question types of things. This is the only passage. I'm sorry. When I get to be too much of a con man, you don't know when I'm really telling the truth or not, huh? I'm sorry. My bad. Okay, why would they do that? Paul thought it wise not to. Why would they want to? The centurion would have been, I want to get this over with. I don't want to keep being responsible. And the ship's owner, and, I'm sorry, Janelle, don't take this as a negative from your husband's life, but like with truck drivers, they want to push on and get every mile under the road that they can during things. Yesterday, I had to drive on Interstate 90 during some of this rain, and it was a blinding rain where I had to slow way down and couldn't hardly see anything in front of me. And the only vehicles that passed me were semis. Now, obviously, they're bigger and have better weight on the pavement and all of that type of stuff. But there's a different mentality when it's your livelihood than just taking a little bit of a trip. Now, Paul, it wasn't just a little bit of a trip, obviously, but yeah, they were thinking about the commerce, thinking about the money. Sometimes when we think too much about money, we lose common sense. I've been known to do that too. And it can go either way. Either when you're trying to save too much or you're trying to make too much, don't let money be your ruling factor in decisions. That's true. Yeah, he would. And Carl, I remember that with him. He would use wisdom before he left, but when he was gone, he figured he's already gone. And yeah, yeah, so true. And probably a little bit of that, maybe an anxiousness to get home for winter. We have no idea where home was for these people, other than it said the ship was from Egypt. So was Egypt home or not? Don't really know some of those details. But anything else? All right. We'll be getting this out just as soon as possible. I'll probably start downloading it while we're praying here. And thank you so much for being with us.